Okay, this is a 180 multi-voice number one. Proper names: James Michael Eaton, Mr. Eaton, Rochester Danny Watson, Peoples number one, Rochester Lane, Bobby, Angelo, Danny, defendant Bobby Henderson, defendant Angelo Jordan, Jim, and VCR. I'm Mrs. Legman.
The witness,
The court.
Ms. Legman,
the witness.
The court.
and we'll start with the court in colloquy, followed by the witness in colloquy, and then the court again in colloquy, and examination by Ms. Legman.
Would you please state your full name for the record?
James Michael Eaton.
Spell your last name, please.
Eaton, Eaton.
The microphone is on, Mr. Eaton, and if you speak into it, your voice will be amplified.
Good morning, Mr. Eaton. Could you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury where you live?
2427 Rochester.
Who is your immediate next door neighbor on the left?
Danny Watson.
Would you step down and view what has been marked as Peoples 1 for identification? And using this green marker, could you circle the address where you live and show us on that map if you can find Rochester Lane?
My address is located here.
You circled the number 1522, is that correct?
Right. 1524 is around back. It shows here on the side.
So is your house immediately adjacent to Danny Watson's house?
Correct.
Please be seated. Now, do you remember on April 7th this year that Danny Watson came over to your house and related that something was going on at his house?
Definitely.
What did Danny tell you?
He told me there was somebody on the side of the house and he believed it was probably Bobby and Angelo.
And did you have a discussion with Danny about what he should do about that?
Yes. We decided that he should notify the police.
Okay, then Danny left your house?
Yes. He went over to ask the people what they were doing beside the house. That was our initial agreement.
Your initial agreement, the first plan?
Well, we discussed what they were doing beside the house and we assumed they may have been passing through. So he went over and asked them what they were doing over there.
Okay, and did you see anybody come from the side of Danny Watson's house?
At that particular time?
Immediately after he left your house?
Yes, I did.
Who did you see?
I saw Bobby and Angelo go walking past the front of our house.
Now, when you say Bobby and Angelo, who are you referring to?
Bobby is over here wearing a brownish corduroy jacket, and Angelo is over there with the beard and the herringbone work shirt.
May the record reflect the witness has identified first the defendant Bobby Henderson in the brown jacket, and secondly, in work shirt and beard, the defendant Angelo Jordan.
Yes.
Now, where did you first see Bobby?
Directly in front of my house.
How far was he from you?
Approximately 15 feet, maybe.
Where were you standing?
At the screen door in the front of my house.
Did you say anything to Bobby?
He said something to me first. He said, "Hello, Jim."
Did you notice if he was holding anything in his hands at the time?
Certainly. Under his right arm, he had a black bag with apparently a front-load VCR from the looks of it.
Are you asking his opinion or do you want him to state that as a fact?
I'm just asking what he thought.
All right, so he is just saying what it looked like to him. Go on then, counselor.
You said he was about 15 feet from you at this point?
Correct.
Was it daylight?
Yes, it was broad daylight.
Do you have any idea what time it was?
Not exactly.
Okay, what direction was Bobby Henderson walking in?
Southbound, down the hill.
You indicated he was carrying something in his hand. Can you describe exactly what the bag looked like?
It was a black nylon bag.
And what could you see inside the bag, if anything?
Well, the only thing I could see was the front of a VCR.
Is there anything else that you can tell us about the VCR?
The only thing I could see was the front of a front-load VCR.
Now, do you yourself own a VCR?
Yes, I own 2 VCRs, and both of them are front-loading models also.
What color was the VCR that you saw in the black bag that Bobby Henderson was carrying?
It was gray in color.
Did you notice, strike that, where was Angelo Jordan when you saw Bobby with the VCR?
Walking beside him. Angelo was on Bobby's left side.
Did Angelo Jordan say anything to you?
No, he did not. He looked at me, but he didn't say anything.
Did you say anything to him?
Counselor, didn't you just ask that?
You're right, Your Honor. I'll move on.
Go ahead and answer.
No, I just said hi to Bobby.
Did you notice if Angelo Jordan had anything in his hand?
He was carrying a bag under his arm, but it appeared to be closed.
Did you see where Angelo Jordan and Bobby Henderson went?
Definitely. After they walked past my house, I stepped out onto the sidewalk. They went down to the bottom of their hill where Robert lives.
When you refer to Robert, who are you talking about?
Bobby Henderson.
And where did they go? Can you show us on the map Peoples 1 for identification?
Shirley.
Please use the green marker and circle that, and then we will number both of your green circles.
Make that number 2 and oops. I went backwards. At least the names were. Oops.
Okay. This is 180, multi-voice number 2, proper names. Number 30, Mother's Day, Yolanda Gomez, Ms. Macias, Ricardo, Chuck E. Cheeses, El Paso, Texas. Number 31, number 32, Eduardo. Number 33, petition, order, Gomez's, Ms. Gonzalez, and Ingrid Macias. I'm going to be Ms. Harbor.
The witness.
The court.
Ms. Harbor.
The witness.
The court.
And we start with Ms. Harbor in colloquy, followed by the court. Your Honor, can I have just a minute with my client? I have to ask her a question just off the record before we proceed.
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Please.
I am preliminarily marking this exhibit as number 30. Take a look at that. Do you recognize that exhibit?
Yes.
What is it?
It's a congratulating Happy Mother's Day card from Yolanda Gomez. That's her writing.
When did you receive that Mother's Day card?
If it was for Mother's Day, it must have been between the years, I don't necessarily know the date, but it's her writing, and you can see the envelope, it's that writing.
Your Honor, I move for the admission of number 30.
Well, there's no evidence as to what date it was sent.
Your Honor, I'm not moving for the admission for the date purposes. I'm moving for the admission to show the handwriting inside.
30 is admitted.
Thank you. Ms. Macias, I'm showing you what I'm marking as 31, 32, and 33. Do you recognize those?
Yes.
Let's start with this one on top. It's going to be who's depicted in this photograph.
This is my son Ricardo and myself at Chuck E. Cheese's in March 26 of 2006.
And which Chuck E. Cheese was that?
The Chuck E. Cheese is the one by the freeway, which is probably the only one in El Paso, Texas.
So here in El Paso?
Yes.
And that was taken, I guess, by some type of machine?
Yeah. They have this machine, you go in there and you do it.
Your Honor, I move for the admission of number 31.
All right, 31 is admitted.
Let's look at number 32.
This is my son Ricardo and my son Eduardo. They're doing the same thing at Chuck E. Cheese in that picture.
What was the date on that photo?
3/26/06.
Taken at the same time?
Yes.
I'd move for admission of number 33, Your Honor.
I think we were on 32.
I'm sorry, 32.
All right, 32 is admitted.
And then 33, what does that photo depict?
This one is March.
What does it depict? Who's in the photo?
It is myself and my son Ricardo.
What's the date on that one?
1/16/06
Okay.
at Chuck E. Cheese's.
And was that one also taken at the Chuck E. Cheese in El Paso?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move for the admission of number 33.
Admitted.
So according to that photo, you also came to El Paso at times other than just for Ricardo's birthday. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that would have been I'll rephrase. Did you come to El Paso at times other than for Ricardo's birthday?
I absolutely did, yes.
And during the time between 2000, I'm going to back up a little because the petition was filed in 2005. So 2005 and 2008, when you learned of the order being entered against you, Ms. Macias, for the purposes of the record, between 2005 and 2008, how many times did you come to El Paso to see your son, if you recall?
I don't have an exact amount of times that I visited, but I would always set it up to every 4 months.
And during that time, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It was also something that had to do with my budget, travel, bring cars, bring my other son with me.
Okay, and I believe you previously testified that you stayed with the Gomez's during those trips.
Yes,
They knew how to get in touch with you by your cell phone, is that right?
Okay, did you want to rephrase?
Did they contact you by cell phone during that 4-year period?
every once in a while. I would be the one calling most of the time.
What was their phone number at the time? Do you recall?
915-590-8364. I'm not absolutely 100% if it's right, but
Okay. For the record, Your Honor, I'm handing Ms. Gonzalez copies of cell phone bills previously not produced in discovery and again reviewed at my office this past Monday. They are highlighted in certain areas. May I approach? I provided it to them highlighted as well. This is how they were produced to me. May I approach?
Yes.
Flip through those for me. Just flip through those for me. Do you recognize this stack of documents?
yes,
And what do you recognize it to be?
it's my cell phone bills that I called Sprint to get all these records, and I highlighted that for you so you could know which ones. Sorry.
Okay, what is the phone number at the top of that?
480-581-5015.
And I believe you had previously testified that that was your cell phone number?
Yes,
Whose name is on the bill?
Ingrid Macias.
Tell me what the number is again.
480-581-5015.
Thank you. I'll mark these as 34, the entire stack. Just looking at this first page, what's the date of that cell phone bill?
December 22nd, 2008 through
Okay, this is 160.
Wait.
Oh.
Okay.
All right, this is 160 multi-voice number 1. Proper name Kemp, Jerry Pena's Custom Craft Body and Paint, Brook Hollow, Baltimore, ICAR, Ford Tempo, Pam McCall, Custom Craft, Pro Shop, Allstate Insurance Company, Allstate, Mr. Robert, and Ms. Mosley. I'm going to be Mr. Robert.
the witness,
Mr. Hughes.
Mr. Robert.
the witness.
Mr. Hughes.
So we're going to start off with Mr. Robert asking questions. How long were you there?
Until 1984.
Did you leave Kemp on good terms?
Yes, I did.
Why did you leave?
I opened my own business,
That was?
Jerry Pena's Custom Craft Body and Paint.
Are you still operating at Jerry Pena's Custom Craft Body and Paint?
Yes, I am.
Where is that located?
5918 Brook Hollow.
Has it always been there?
Yes, sir.
How many people do you have working for you?
I'd say approximately 26, something like that.
Do you know how many people worked for you back in the latter part of 1986? Not exactly, just generally.
I really don't. 20 maybe. It's hard to.
Other than school that you went to in Baltimore that you already described already, have you attended any other institutes or any other training programs with respect to body repair or any other automotive repair?
I've completed the courses for ICAR.
Which stands for what?
It's repair procedure courses offered by the industry for shops.
You don't know what the initials mean?
I really don't.
You do that on a regular basis or a one-time deal?
A one-time deal. You go through, I guess, 8 courses. They have now consolidated a couple. There were 12 courses when I went through it, I believe. Now it is down to 8. But we'll go through and pick up any refresher courses that they come out with. Once you've completed the course, you're done.
When did you complete those courses?
I completed them, Mr. Robert, 3-4 years ago.
Have you ever been arrested?
No, I haven't.
Have you ever been involved in a lawsuit before, either as plaintiff or defendant?
Yes, sir.
How many? And start with the earliest one and tell us about it.
A number of years ago, a school teacher acted inappropriately with a niece of mine, and we had a confrontation which resulted in his bodily injury, and charges were brought forth in that case.
Criminal charges or civil charges?
Civil charges.
I thought it was to your dad.
I was named in it.
Both.
Pardon?
Mostly civil.
Do you know when that was approximately?
10 years ago, 12 years ago?
Were you arrested in connection with that matter?
No, I was not.
How was that civil matter resolved? Did you settle the case? Was it dismissed? Did you try it?
It went to trial.
How was the outcome?
I was found not guilty.
Not guilty, not liable?
Not liable.
Any others?
I have one pending suit on a Ford Tempo at present.
What's the nature of that? A claim against you?
Yes,
Who's the plaintiff?
Pam McCall.
Any others?
No.
Suit has been filed by Pam McCall in that case?
Yes.
Are there any claims which have been made against you which did not result in the filing of a lawsuit that were resolved before the lawsuit stage?
No, sir.
You consulted with your lawyer briefly before answering these questions concerning litigation. Was there any concerning one of these cases, or is there another one you felt?
It was that first one. I didn't know.
We have an encroachment suit pending also.
Real estate matter?
Yes, you will find it in the court files.
Plaintiff or defendant?
Plaintiff.
Business or residence?
Business.
With respect to the location of the Brook Hollow,
Right.
you do insurance work at Custom Craft?
Yes, I do.
What's a pro shop?
A pro shop is a term that Allstate Insurance Company puts on selected shops selected to do their work and guaranteed through Allstate.
How long has that program been in effect?
Many years.
Is Custom Craft a pro shop?
Yes, it is.
Are there any documents that Allstate gives to you that you give to Allstate in connection with that pro shop program?
Yes, sir, there are.
What kind of documents would there be?
I have a certificate hanging on the wall given to me indicating Custom Craft as a pro shop with Allstate Insurance Company.
Does that certificate indicate what's entailed in being a pro shop? What's involved?
I'm not sure what it has on it.
Is there anything else that you have in your files? Is there correspondence between you and Allstate with respect to the pro shop program, or any manuals or policies or anything like that?
As far as correspondence, Mr. Robert, I received periodically news bulletins through the repair industry. The manufacturers send down to Allstate repair brochures and do's and don'ts. Then they, in turn, give their pro shops these copies.
Were you at Pro Shop at the time that the repairs to Ms. Mosley's vehicle
Yes, I was.
were made? If you are at Pro Shop, you
Walmart.
okay. 160 multi-voice number 2, proper names: Wilbur Moody, Mr. Moody, GEM's service station, Jim's service station, Mr. Wilmot, Jim's, George. I'm Mr. Wilmot.
The witness.
Mr. Hazen.
Mr. Wilmot.
The witness.
Mr. Hazen.
And we'll start with the examination by Mr. Wilmot.
Yes.
What is your name?
Wilbur Moody,
How old are you, Mr. Moody?
25.
Are you married?
Yes.
Who do you have in your family?
Wife and 2 kids.
How old are your children?
3 and 1.
Tell us what you did before the accident.
We stopped at Jim's service station, put some gas in.
Where is Jim's service station?
I think you may have misunderstood an answer, Mr. Wilmot. He said gem. I think you said Jim's.
Would you spell what you think he said?
Gem as in George.
Okay, it's gems and not Jims. Thank you. Have you been writing?
Pardon me. Excuse me for interrupting. I want to get one thing clear. You're using the present tense. I wonder if you're talking about what he does now or what was occurring before the accident?
I'm talking about what he does now, and I'm going to ask him about what he did before the accident.
Well, I think he may have misunderstood that as to writing every day at the present time.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Since the accident, have you been writing out there with him?
No, he hasn't been to work since, except one day, since the accident. He's been in a cast since he got out of the hospital.
Previous to the accident, had you ridden out there most of the time with him?
Most of the time.
You said you were watching the speedometer because you were uneasy.
That's what I was doing. It was just a habit.
How often would you check the speedometer? Do you know?
I'm going to object to the form of that question. It assumes something which is certainly not based on anything he's testified. He said he would glance at the speedometer. He never said he checked it.
I'm not asking if he mechanically checked it. However, did he glance at it? That's what I want to know. Do you object to that?
I object to the use of the word check as a substitute for his testimony that he glanced at it. It implies some more definite reference to it than what he's testified to. I would object to it on that ground.
I'll rephrase the question. How often were you glancing at it in the mile before the accident? How many times would you have glanced at it about?
When you get a habit of doing something, you wouldn't check the times, would you?
I'm asking you.
Well, let me say this, Mr. Moody. Try to answer the question. If you don't know the answer, if he's asked you something you don't know, tell him you don't know. Try to give him the best, honest answer you can to it.
Well,
I'll rephrase the question. As you were checking the speedometer, do you remember whether or not he put on his brakes to slow down before he came to this curve?
no, I can't tell you that. I don't know.
Would you be in a position to know what if?
Excuse me, maybe you didn't hear his answer. He just said he didn't know. I don't understand the question in light of the answer.
If he had put on his brakes just before coming to the curve, were you watching his driving carefully enough to have known that?
State your question again.
Would you read the question back, please?
I didn't have no doubt in my mind about his driving, so I wasn't even watching how he was driving.
You didn't talk with him about how he happened to be over on the wrong side of the road when this accident happened?
I'm going to object to that as to the form of it. I think it is argumentative and assumes something entirely contrary to what has been testified.
You'll let him answer this question, will you not?
I have no objection to that. I won't say I have no objection. I do have an objection, which I have just stated. He may answer the question. The objection will be ruled on later.
You knew he was over on the wrong side of the road?
No, I can't definitely say yes or no to that. As I said before, I was looking around. I saw the two cars coming together, and when you see something like that, you don't look around to the right or left and see who's on the right side of the road.
But he wouldn't answer your questions about what happened at the accident?
He hasn't told me anything about it.
because somebody got to him first. Is that right?
I don't know. He just hasn't told me anything.
Isn't that what you said?
I've got to object. I want to put an objection in the record.